So a natural and common question we get is if people should get a home inspection on new construction. And I'm just going to show you a few things I'm finding on a roof right now of new construction that just kind of shows a good reason why you should get an inspection even on your new construction build. So just a couple things in this one spot. One of them is the plumbing boot. It's really a good roofer is going to overhang these shingles a little further. It'd be nice to have the base of this boot go underneath the shingle here, because it's over time going to just get lifted up by the wind, and water can just get driven down into the opening there where the pipe is. That just goes right into the attic space. And it's not really secured down at all, so I don't even think there's any nails in this plumbing boot. And then going just a little bit further, there's our first exposed nail head. There's a very specific way that the shingle manufacturers want these nails to go into the shingles, and they're not supposed to be this low. So there's a total of 3 plumbing vents on this roof that are installed the same way. The plumbing flashing is just loose. We're right by the water here, so bound to get high winds coming in here, get those flipped up. Not to mention, the more of this rubber you have exposed, it tends to degrade faster from UV. So as the sun hits it, this stuff's going to just crack a lot faster and split. So the more of it you have covered with roof shingles, the better off you'll be. And there's another one up here. And finally, the last thing we see on this chimney base flashing is that it's lifting pretty good. It's sitting there, and it's just a spot where wind-driven rain could get blown up in there, especially if there's any leaves or pine needles piled up. Water can back up in that area, so it'd be nice to have that sealed a lot better. Fortunately, in the grand scheme of things, compared to some of the things we find, those are pretty minor things. And since our client is catching this before construction is completed, hopefully it'll be pretty easy for him to get those few things buttoned up. But just a good reminder why it's always good to get a home inspection of your own prior to closing on your new construction home. We also found a leak at a main waste line. This is just a cleanout cap. It may just need to have the cleanout cap tightened a little better, but it's easier to catch it now than later. And another thing we find is sometimes the waste lines are not sloped properly. You can see this one's got a bit of a dip, a bit of a belly in it. When I shake it, you can hear the water sloshing around in there. So over time, bad sloping definitely would lead to more likelihood of stuff clogging up. And it's much easier to get fixed now than when an emergency happens. This crawl space has a lot of vapor barrier missing and just loose in some areas. So a lot easier to get that stuff covered up now. And then this crawl space has a middle support wall, and there's a bunch of dirt piled up on the post. It does not even look like a pressure treated post here. And then the dirt's pushed up on this on the structural sheathing and structural support wall. And then down here, there's moldy looking stuff growing on some of the wall, and it's been treated before. That's why it's all painted white. So it's really a good thing that this buyer and client has been having us do an inspection before they finish the new construction project. Not to mention some areas where there's insulation missing. This is just underneath a tub, but it's still going to be a colder area, and then the plumbing supply lines are not insulated. It's not the only area where it's like that. You've got some more insulation missing over in that area below a bathroom. And then back to the area above me, this is actually a jetted tub, and the builder never built in an access door for the motor or for the pump for the jetted tub. So it's definitely going to be worth them having a conversation about. And then there's several areas of puddles in the crawl space, which appear to be more from groundwater than anything, because there's plumbing pipes up above, but I haven't found any signs of dripping. But it's certainly a good thing for them to keep an eye on over time. And then lastly, down here, we've got a long uninsulated dryer duct, this metal ducting. Now, a lot of builders will point out that at least codes in our area don't require them to insulate the dryer ducting, but it does condensate inside the ducting and clog up a lot faster when it's not insulated. So at least our client's going to know that. They may take it upon themselves to have somebody wrap it in insulation just to avoid it clogging faster. And we also find them rusting out a lot faster when they're not insulated.